What you're about to see may disturb you.
This is where you live?
They must be playing some trick or something. Monkey Otzo's gonna try and jump out and scare me at any moment. He's the teacher responsible for me. He's kind of like my father.
Is it okay if you tell me your name?
The monks named me Ong.
Oh!
Welcome back to Remembering the Razzies.
Hi everyone, it's been a while.
Season 4. We watched Last Airbender today. I'm a very big Avatar fan.
And I'm very big.
I don't want to bias my review of this.
Yeah.
So I want to treat this like a normal film, so I'm just gonna make sure that all my bias is removed.
Okay. Yeah, I want to take off my bias too.
I'm just gonna review
man.
this,
Shoot, still have bias.
So this movie is still bad.
Obviously, it's offensive as a Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptation.
Yeah.
But it's just really bad as a film.
I think it works even worse as a film on its own.
Without the knowledge that you gain from watching the show going into it, there's a lot of things that they just don't talk about and things just kind of happen.
This is based off of a magical world where there are 4 nations that all live together in harmony: water, earth, fire, air. Everything changes when the Fire Nation attacks.
Right.
Only the Avatar can master all 4 elements, but when the world needs him most, he vanishes. Katara and Sokka find a boy named Ong frozen in ice, and he is the Avatar. He is the master of all 4 elements.
Yeah. After he's freed, Zuko brings him on a boat. He's like, hey, are you the Avatar? He's like, no, I'm not the Avatar. And they're like, we know you're the Avatar. And he's like, oh, shucks. And so he escapes. After that, Ong is like, oh boy, I'm back on the market. Let's find out what's out there. Let's hit my old spot. So they go back to the air temple where he grew up. There's like a bunch of skeletons on the ground. And Katara's like, oh no, all the people got wiped out. And Ong's like, you're lying! As he like steps over a skull. Then they kind of just wander in the wilderness for a little bit until eventually they get the inspiration to go to the North Pole and meet Santa.
And waterbenders.
Yeah. They go to the North Pole to meet waterbenders, so that way Ong can learn to be the Avatar.
There's also a pizza delivery guy named Commander Zhao. You know, like he's in Spider-Man. He says, go! He wants to kill the Moon Spirit because then the Fire Nation can win the war.
That was one thing I had a problem with in this movie. It doesn't really seem like there's a war. It just kind of seems like there's a Fire Nation who kind of rules over everyone. And no one likes them, but no one's really fighting. It's not really a war.
I know. As an Avatar fan, I've seen this movie too much. I've seen this movie quite a few times. Yeah. So I'm at the point where I can like watch this and be entertained by it because I know that it sucks.
Sure.
But it's the last line that the Fire Lord is saying to Azula when they're teasing a second movie that really kind of set me off. Because he's like,
Sozin's comet is returning in 3 years. It will give all firebenders the ability of the highest firebenders, the ability to use their own chi to create fire.
And it made me question, like, how did the Fire Nation start this war?
Yeah.
In a world where they can bend their element only if the element is there.
Yeah, previously is in the space with them.
Because the Fire Nation is not a strong nation as depicted in this movie.
No. Earthbenders apparently just give up. The firebenders can just show up, be like, hey, you guys are in jail now, no more bending. And they're like, okay.
Let's just put them in this like ravine filled with rocks and be like, don't
bend it. And they're just like, well, there's nothing we can do.
On the show, the episode they were referencing was an episode where they take a whole village of earthbenders captive and they put them on a metal ship in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, listen, we could like build a whole jail or something, but they've already got this whole village in this ravine. We might as well just put a fence around it and they can't do anything.
No, because it's explained because when the earthbenders do start earthbending, It's really bad.
Oh,
Here's
yeah.
some earthbending from the show. And here's my favorite scene in the movie.
What was that?
The bending seems so inconsequential. Like, anytime two people are, like, bending at each other, they'll get pushed to the ground, and then they're done. Whereas in the show, it's, like, fast-paced, and, like, anytime you watch Zuko fight, in particular, in the show, fast, fiery punches, like, he's throwing fire everywhere. In the movie, which I guess they can justify, like, there's not enough fire around, even though I'm pretty sure in any scene that Zuko is fighting, there is fire around.
Yeah.
He's just punching.
Yeah.
It's just dumb.
They do a lot of slow-mo in this movie, but even,
Yeah.
like, regular paced bending, I feel like goes super slow.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. It's not exciting. We talked about, like, the pacing is all over.
Pacing's awful. They just blow through plot points from the show.
To me, that doesn't even matter. It's just the fact that, like, they will go to a location, they'll spend maybe, like, 10 minutes at a location, and then they'll move to another location, do the same thing all over again up until they get to the North Pole. But, like, as an audience, we don't really know where they're at any point in time. Like, they'll always give a title card of, like, now they're in the Middle Earth Kingdom.
Yeah.
Now they're Upper Earth Kingdom. I don't know where any of this is,
Well,
like, in relation to each other.
You especially don't know where it is because at least in the show, they show a map of the four nations
Yeah.
at the beginning of every single episode.
Right.
And the gang is always checking a map and, like, pointing at where they are.
Yeah.
And you don't get that at all in this.
No, yeah, like, this could be a tiny world, and you would have no idea.
Yeah.
Because everyone can, like, keep up with each other. They're moving locations constantly, and, like...
Here is the path that the gang takes throughout this movie, which is very similar to the show. And then you have somebody like Commander Zhao who keeps bouncing back between the Earth Kingdom and the Fire Nation capital. With how much I know the show and, like, the lore behind the show, and trying to explain this movie, which is taking things from the show, is hard to do because the movie's just so...
Yeah, the movie doesn't explain anything. It really relies on the fact that people who are going to see this saw the show.
Yeah, which is why this works worse as a standalone film versus an adaptation.
Right.
Which is really awful to say.
Let's just move on to the nominations, and then we can...
Okay. This was nominated for 9 awards, and it won 5. Worst eye-gouging misuse of 3D, Worst Supporting Actor, Worst Screenplay, Worst Director, and Worst Picture. Let's start with Worst Eye-Gouging Misuse of 3D, because if I remember right, this was a year after James Cameron's Avatar came out.
Oh.
So this was that time in history when everybody wanted their movie to be 3D.
Right.
If I remember right, Paramount blew a lot of the effects budget into making everything 3D.
They don't bend a lot in this. You'd think they'd bend more because of the 3D.
Because of the 3D?
Yeah, like, you'd think they'd play it up more and, like, uh-oh, water's coming at you, but, like,
They don't, because they didn't plan that when they started this.
Oh,
like,
that makes sense.
yeah. This
Like,
one, I think
bouncing
they
at
were
you.
in post-production. They're like, Avatar made $2 billion.
Yeah.
We have to make this 3D. Some exec at Paramount was like,
Yeah,
let's
that's-
go.
That's a bad choice.
yeah. Worst Supporting Actor.
So, are you the Avatar Ong?
Now, there were 2 nominations, one for Dev Patel, and then Jackson Rathbone, who played Sokka. He also won... Sokka. He also won for being in Twilight this year. You really have to compare it to the show here.
Oh, well, I think if you do that, that's being unfair, because Sokka is a great character in the show. Season 1 Sokka is definitely the worst Sokka, for sure.
Yeah, but he still has a very nicely written arc.
Yeah,
in
he's
the
got
first
nuance
season.
to him.
He gets smarter as the season goes on. You see him become more of a leader. He's the comic relief. And Sokka,
Yeah. I forget that he exists a lot of the time.
he is a plank of wood that is like, I'm Katara's brother.
He literally is just there. He doesn't really have any character traits. Like, at least in the show, you can be like, he is like a kid's caricature. He's supposed to make kids laugh. At least that's a character. In this, like, I can't even remember a single joke he tells.
He gets like water splashed on him at
Oh
one
yeah,
point.
he gets frozen at one point.
My jokes are way funnier than this.
They didn't even replace any of his characteristics from the show with anything else. Like, I could see, like, they want to make him, like, a hard badass for the show. But, like, they didn't even do that. I think you see him fight in the Earth Kingdom once. Like, I remember him throwing a boomerang one time. Does he even fight in the finale?
I don't think he does.
I don't think he does either.
I think he's too busy simping over the princess.
They essentially just throw away a main character. I don't even know what they throw it away for, because even Katara. I don't know a lot about Katara in this movie.
Yeah.
She can waterbend. She has a grandma. But beyond that, like, they don't even have a love interest between her and Aang. She's concerned about him. Like, anytime he freaks out, she's like, hey, no.
Even Aang, as a main character, as, like, the title character, is so stripped away of everything about him.
Mm-hmm.
They even, like, really water down his background with Monk Gyatso, just his whole relation with the Airbenders in general.
Yeah, I think I know, like, one thing about Aang, and it's like, when he got told that he was the Avatar, he didn't bow. And at the movie, he bows. That's the arc. What were we criticizing? Oh yeah, Sokka. They did him horrible. And I just think the actor is pretty bad. He's pretty similar in Twilight, but at least with Twilight you can make the argument that, like, oh, he's just like a weird vampire.
Like a motionless vampire.
Yeah, but in this, he already had existing character traits from the show, and they just get
like
rid of all of them.
some of the most colorful character traits.
Yeah, exactly.
And they just totally flushed it. Let's talk about worst director and worst screenplay together.
Yeah.
Because this is definitely M. Night Shyamalan's vision.
Mm-hmm. He did poorly.
He did very poorly.
It's bizarre that he got tapped for it out of any director.
It's not even like this is straight off of his, like, Sixth Sense and Signs days. He's also made The Lady in the Water. He made The Happening a year before.
I think we've made it pretty clear that, like, everything is pretty bad about this movie.
You take this piece of medium, this piece of work that's really good and really well respected and well loved,
Yeah.
and you make these unnecessary changes. You strip it of everything that made it good. You try and be like this 2010 movie and make it more dark and edgy.
Yeah. I think the only thing that they really did in writing this movie is Shyamalan watched the show, or at least season 1, and he was like, okay, I need to boil this down to, like, 5 sentences. It just feels like they're trying to hit location beats, and then, like, if they have just, like, a second of time where they could be like, I didn't want to be the Avatar, go ahead and add that.
Yeah.
Add it, like, 4 times.
Yeah.
The same conflict.
Oh, it's a bad example. Like when you adapt a book. Like, obviously there's more detail in the book, but this is literally if they took that book and then based the movie just off of chapter titles.
Yeah. Sure, I guess technically it follows what the anime did. In doing so, they take away all of the content within it just to hit all of the proper beats.
Yeah, pretty stinky.
Yeah, pretty stinky. Can you think of anything redeeming about this? Like, is there something good that you have?
Watching it again, no. Both as an Avatar fan and a filmmaker, because I've always watched this more as an Avatar fan,
right?
And now I was trying to watch it as I've never heard of this world before.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, and it's almost impossible to follow. Even watching this for entertainment value, you watch this in waves as a fan. You watch it the first time, you get really angry, and if you're not angry enough to the point where you can watch it again, it gets entertaining.
Sure.
But I feel like I'm losing that too.
Yeah, I can't even say I was entertained in, like, a bad way. Like, I don't think it's bad enough. The only thing I got from it was, like, just comparing it to the show and being like, why are they making these choices in the movie? Like, why did they do this? Honestly, even if I was watching it with people who had never seen it, I would just tell them, like, honestly, it's not worth it. It's not funny bad. It's just kind of like, it's just sad.
Yeah.
It's just sad to watch. It's like, you had all this great source material and you took everything out of it that made it good.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? The music was... the guy who did the music for it really tried.
The music went too hard.
Yeah. a better movie, it might have been good.
I know we've pretty much already gone over it, but let's talk about Worst Picture. This was nominated against Vampires Suck, The Twilight Saga, Eclipse, Sex and the City 2, and The Bounty Hunter.
This is pretty bad. Honestly, maybe Vampires Suck might be worse, but...
Yeah, but at least Vampires Suck. I'm
it's
sure I'd laugh at some
it's a
things
parody.
in it.
This movie I don't really want to see again. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It's honestly kind of just fascinating that it happened. I do think if you're a big fan of the show, just watch it so you get a little bit angry, but beyond that, no. It just sort of follows the trend of animes can't have good live action adaptations.
Yeah.
That's right. I've said it multiple times throughout this. This is an anime.
Okay.
We'll do what we do for every season, where we rank it. Is this well made, and is this most entertaining?
I think I'll put this at the top for both.
Honestly, best made that we've seen for this decade so far.
Oh, yeah.
Best entertaining. Hey, it might go down next week.
It might. I doubt it, but it might. Well, what are we seeing next week, Jacob?
I don't know. You have the laptop. Dummy, tell me.
But it's one of your favorite movies, Jacob.
Oh, yeah. I remember what we're going to watch. We're going to watch Jack and Jill. Classic Christmas film about a brother and his sister who are both Adam Sandler.
I've seen it.
Yeah, we've both seen it.
I'm not looking forward to seeing it again.
It's so bad. So, with that, we're excited to see you next week. Whoa.
Then you bow to the camera.
Oh! I thought you were gonna bend like a single pebble. At
No,
me.
what makes you think that me doing this would equate to bending? I learned this on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Comes my